It's always nice when you start a video off and you have to explain yourself before the content even begins. So by the way, we got a monster balance patch. Very exciting. This would have been even more exciting if it was like 9 hours ago, 12 hours ago. I will explain that right now because if you guys didn't see, I posted another video earlier today, which seems very confusing out of context. So I waited all night for the balance patch announcement. The announcement didn't happen, which it usually does at a certain time. They decided to do it at a much different time than they usually do, so it didn't happen. So I worked on another video, which was the video that was posted. I unlisted it actually, but it is the things that should be buffed in the next balance patch. And then it was actually, so I worked on that until 6 a.m., scheduled it to auto post at 10 a.m., went to sleep, wake up to my girlfriend telling me the balance patch is out. So now it looks like I said what should be buffed after the balance patch already came out, when the video was just already done hours before the balance patch got put out, and it was just scheduled to publish to YouTube publicly at a certain time. So it's not like I saw the balance patch and I was like, this is what should get buffed after the balance patch already comes out. Because that would not make any sense. I would just look at the balance patch if that was the case. So I just want to make sure, because there was a lot of people that were upset that I did what should be buffed in the next balance patch after the patch notes already came out. It was not intentional. It was just that it was scheduled to auto upload. So that is the context. I had to make sure you guys knew the context. Now that we're done with that, let's take a look at the actual monster balance patch. I did already glance over some of this. Some of them actually were in. Crazy enough, some of the things that were buffed in the in this balance patch, or changed in this balance patch, were actually in that thing that was said, but a lot of them were just, you know, kind of obvious. So Wind Weapon Master, Improvisation Passive, remove the effect that your attack power increases as your HP decreases. I think that the situation is they didn't, because a lot of people thought he needed to be nerfed, but they probably just didn't want to nerf him too much. So they were like, let's see if this, we don't want to break him, we want him to still be good, we don't want people to, you know, regret devil modding so many units. We regret devil modding from time to time. Water on Miyuji. This is again another thing, like they're taking the things that are like very aggressively picked in RTA, the meta things. Actually, they didn't even touch Masha. Wait, did they not touch Masha? I don't think I saw Masha on here at all. Maybe I just glanced too much and I missed it. But increase the max cooldown. I think the 2-turn buffs was a little crazy. I think that this might actually be perfectly fine. The all things in nature. In the other video, that you can't even see because I unlisted it already. Because it was very confusing to have that out after the balance patch notes. It was very confusing for people, and I don't blame them. So I said that it should, I didn't really feel that it needed to be 2-turn buffs, but this is fine. Increase the max cooldown. It's either way, it's balanced. It's not so aggressively balanced. I think it's good. Oracles, passing time. This is a shocker. This is exactly what I said. Again, I did not see the balance patch before. Now YouTube algorithm is going to think I said N-A-Z-I. Like I said, I did not see, whatever. This is just a YouTube thing. I know I'm gonna get in trouble for that. But I didn't see this passing time. Again, I recorded that video hours before the balance patch notes even came out. It's just, you know, this does serve a purpose. This does actually, they turn cycle way too much. So I think that this is actually, of course, this was the thing that I thought should be buffed, or sorry, not buffed, balanced. So I think, of course, this is something I'm going to agree with, right? Then we have some of these oracles. I don't know that I agree with some of the buffs on here. So Fire Oracle, increase attack speed for 2 turns if you get a harmful effect. Is this gonna make her too OP? This, we'll see. I'm not as. There's that one. There's also Ciara. Who needed a Ciara buff? Like, Ciara's good. She's just not first pick anymore because there's other things have kind of taken the spotlight from her. But I don't think Ciara needed a buff. Really, Ciara's pretty ridiculous in, or maybe to balance out, well, it is a balance patch. Maybe to balance out the decrease of attack gauge with skill 1. Is why they're buffing some of the things that are non-LDs. Because if we take a look, based on the things that you guys voted on in the poll, man, you guys missing all my jokes. If you didn't see the first video, you're missing all my jokes about people getting intimidated from the long poll. Anyway, the jokes I really didn't need to continue saying, but people were concerned about buff or nerfing the LD ones because the LD ones are strong. So this effectively nerfs the LD ones, and then they had to buff. Oh, this nerfs all of them, and then they had to buff the non-LD ones to make up for that. Increase attack speed, increase attack speed. So this is basically just more. It's kind of balancing to change the turn advantage that the oracles get in general. So I don't know. I think the Ciara buff is gonna be. I like to use Ciara. So then we have some dragon buffs. Very interesting. Absolute zero glancing hits won't occur if the enemy's defense is half. This is the conditional buffs. If the enemy's defense is half or less than your defense, we have, which is fine. Fine buffs. Not anything too crazy. It's just a minimal thing. Increases skill cooldown by 1 turn more than the max cooldown if the enemy's attack power is half or less than your attack power. Boss excluded. This is similar to how the light gargoyle does increases skill cooldown. The gargoyles are. It's not what I thought needed to be buffed. I don't think that it really makes them relevant. We'll get to that in a second. Dark Dragon Decimate attack always effects added. Attack always lands a critical hit on light monsters. Increased damage, which is, I think that's best for the Dark Dragon owners to chime in on that. This is one of my most wanted units. Most wanted LD units is the Dark Dragon. Light on Amusha, this is interesting. So he can't be crit on, except that sometimes he can be crit on now. So anything where... There's, I think, maybe more of these units that always land as critical hits with some of their skills than we realize. So, Polar Queen, Storm of Midnight, but there's other ones that always land as critical hit, like the Neo Stone Fighter. And other things similar to that always land as always lands as a critical hit. So this might just be so much easier to deal with the Light on Amusha now, which could piss off Light on Amusha owners. This may be a bigger nerf than we realize for him. Water Valk. This is not. I don't think this is really what it needed. It's like, okay, she's tanky. Also, I don't think this is what no one's getting excited to use Water Valkyria. This fire one though. Very interesting. Warrior's Return, decreased cooldown by 4 turns. I don't think we can... we can't highlight anything because this is just an image. This is not actual text. So, I mean, it is text, but it's not like... Whatever. It doesn't matter. Decreased cooldown by 4 turns, which is huge for the Fire Valkyria, but it does increase over time. So increase by 2 turns whenever you revive an ally with this skill. So at the beginning of the match, it's going to just keep reviving things, and if it violent procs a couple times, then it's going to revive it again. But the longer the match goes, if you've been fighting the same match for 5 minutes, it's no longer just going to keep reviving things all the time. So this could be very frustrating. This could be very frustrating. Wind Valkyria, Sword of Discharge, attacks the enemies 2 to 3 times now instead of 2 times, so just extra ignore defense, which... It's pretty nice. I thought the Wind Valkyria was fine. Ragnarok, I don't think this is what the Dark Valk owners wanted. I think they wanted a little bit more substance. I think they also wanted a change of... Did they change the classification at some point in one of the recent balance patches and I'm just forgetting it? No, right? Because they changed the classification of other... No, they changed the base stats to fit some of the monsters. I think for... Was it one of the Phoenixes and Pungbeck? I'm trying to remember some of the changes they did to the stats, the base stats in some of these units in the past couple balance patches. But we have the Dark Bison, Black Moon passive. Duration of harmful effects you grant with the skills increased by 1 turn each. This guy, if he gets started... So this is the Dark Bison, Dark Slayer. Sean just did a video saying that he needed to be buffed a couple days ago. So... Maybe they took that into consideration when they were thinking about this guy. But yeah, if he gets started and he doesn't get resisted, he can just clean the entire team out. If he gets started and doesn't get resisted. So this is just going to make him a little bit more toxic. He can solo things. And he heals himself too. He can solo things. He can get ridiculous if he gets started and doesn't get resisted. Okay, we already know because I already said that multiple times. Dark Panda Warrior, Almighty Strength passive, decreases incoming damage by now 50% if the enemy has lower attack power than yours. 50% is a lot of damage mitigation. We'll see how that plays out. That's a lot of damage mitigation, though. But he does need that. He does need that that attack power extra. That extra attack power. Water Totemist, Strong Bull Soul. This is exactly what we wanted. This is exactly what a lot of people were like, hey, why doesn't this do the same thing that Riley does? Now it does cleanse. That's all people wanted. Half Moon Tribe Totem from the Dark Totemist provokes for 1 turn with a 50% chance. I don't remember what the exact skill of the Half Moon Tribe Totem is. I'm sorry. I don't remember exactly what the wording on this skill is. So it's got a new provoke. There's so much text here. I had to pause the video and make sure I actually read through all of it and understood it before I started talking about it. So the big change with all this text for the Wind and Light Shadowcaster's second skill, this is the one that ties the enemy. It's just doing damage in addition to tying the enemy now. That's all that this is. Most of the text is just the same on both. It's just instead of ties the enemy shadow, it attacks the enemy to inflict damage and ties the target's shadow. That's the big change here. For the Wind Shadowcaster, this one is pretty significant. Instead of doing, this is his skill that does random changes the attack bar status of the enemy team. Now it does an AoE strip, which is always good, right? AoE strip and debuff. Random debuff between defense break, decreased attack speed, and increased chance of landing glancing hit. I feel like they could have just done like one debuff. Like this is the debuff that it always does. Instead of it being, now he just does, he's so random. It's so random. It's nice. It's definitely buffed for sure. It's definitely better than it was before. Could be very nasty on Swift. So that should be exciting to see. That should be exciting to play with. I actually got this one on the Europe server account. I just never did a video on it because people seem to not want to see anything on him. So I was like, okay, we'll not waste, I won't waste my time then. So then we have the Light Shadowcaster Infinity Shadow passive. So this one is just damage mitigation and cleanse. So when he ignores defense when attacking target tied by the shadow, decreases damage taken from the tied target by 30%, which is new. Damage mitigation passive. And then also removes 1 beneficial effect when attacking an enemy. So those are the new changes to the Shadowcasters. Chun-Li's Wind, Dark, Water, and Wind. Duck, Dive, Dodge, and, well, I don't remember Dodgeball. It's been a while since I've seen it. Decreased attack bar, just increased to a larger percentage. And then the Wind one, increased attack power value that increases in proportion to the attack speed. So she's just going to do more damage now. Right? That's basically, I don't know if this is really going to make them meta, but they are buffed. Comtuous is addressing the fact that they needed some kind of change, that they're not being used by basically anyone. So Fire Horus, actually, this is exciting because I saw, like I said, I glanced over these earlier. I saw the Fire Horus. I was like, Fire Horus? So Fire Horus now with the skill 3 damage proportion to your attack power and defense is now damage proportion to your defense. Skill change makes the attack bar to 0 with a 70% chance, stuns the target for 1 turn, is now grants Oblivion effect and prevents the target from moving harmful effects for 2 turns with a 70% chance each. I feel like just adding Oblivion to anything makes it so much more useful. Instead of just a single target, because it was a single target stun. Decreased attack bar, single target stun. It's like Varad, but he doesn't do an AoE. He does just a single target. So now Oblivion and cleanse block debuff. So this is nice. This should be fun. Anyone that's been crazy enough to build the Fire Horse? Oh, no one? No one but me. Great. This is great content for me then. These gargoyles, which we said needed to be buffed. However, I don't think this is necessarily the buffs that they needed. They need significantly more buffs than this. I think Comtuous knows that. I think this is just the acknowledgement that some of these units are nowhere in the meta. So Comtuous is like, yes, we are aware that the gargoyles need to be buffed. Let's see. Let's continue to buff them. I think if they just start the match in Stone State, I think that's all they need. I think it's so simple. They probably know that. Though, here's the thing. Comtuous is not stupid. They know a lot more than we really give them credit for. So what they're doing is they're acknowledging that some of these things need to be buffed, but they want to keep us waiting for the big substantial buffs. Because if they just buff everything that needs to be buffed right now, then we have nothing to look forward to. And they want us to continue playing the game, so they need us to continue to have things to look forward to. That's why we were never going to have a completely balanced... Well, I mean, in any game that has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of monsters, there's never going to be completely balanced anything. But that's one of the reasons that we're not ever going to see a completely balanced game with everything out. There's always going to be something still coming, so you got to keep playing because there's something still coming. It's just a psychological reason. So we have Dice Magician Fireball again. Passive rolls 1 dice at the start of each turn. Rolls 1 dice at the start of battle and then at the start. So he just gets a buff where he does something at the beginning of the battle. kind of like the gargoyles should get. They just see the thing at the start of the battle. Just change the start of the battle from the Dice Magician to the gargoyles. Just put it the gargoyles on the gargoyles thing. Come to us. They're like, we know it's gonna happen in a year. Okay, I wouldn't put it past them to do exactly that in a year from now. So this one is, I think this is just a heal now. Well, it is still the revive, but it's also a heal. Rolls 2 dice at the start of the turn. Rolls 2 dice every turn to recover your HP. Revives all dead allies if you get the same number. So this is actually kind of nice. That just provides some sustain. So he has control with his skill 1 and 2. Because his skill 2 can stun. His skill 2 can also slow. He has revive. He can revive the whole team. And then he also has a heal. I think that's actually, as simple as it sounds, I think that's actually going to be more valuable than we might give it credit for. So then we have the Dice Magician for the Water and Dark. 1 dice trick. Grants harmful effects. Now increased chance of landing a glancing hit is removes 1 beneficial effect from the enemy. Interesting. They didn't buff the Water one to ignore defense more, but it would have been nice. Just give him another dice. Give him another die. Give him another. That would potentially be ridiculous. That would make him meta. I feel that just one more die would make him meta. One more little dice thing. Then we have Awakening Effect of some monsters. This is something that should have been for a while, right? So Light Dragon, increased resistance by 25. He has a cleanser. He does have a cleanse and heal, so increased resistance is not bad on that unit. If it was increased resistance on like Oberon, I would be like, okay, hold on. Increased resistance on Oberon. They did change Oberon to crit rate modification for Awakening Effect in the last balance patch, though. That's why I mentioned that. But yeah, Light Dragon, he does big damage, big AoE damage, so increasing the crit rate is, I'm sure a lot of people are going to be happy about that. Panda Warrior, Wind Panda Warrior, increases crit rate by 15%. He doesn't need crit rate. He's not built with crit rate. He has additional damage with his passive. We put additional damage and artifacts on him. He doesn't need crit rate. So now, and also, sometimes crit rate is very bad when he's fighting against ragdolls or when he's fighting against, he was already an Artemail Slayer. Just fun fact if you guys didn't know, Wind Panda versus Artemail, Wind Panda, unless Artemail gets crazy RNG and stuns the panda every single time, Wind Panda just slaughters Artemail. So now he's just going to slaughter even more because he's not going to crit. He's not going to keep proccing Artemail's passive. So increases accuracy. This is fantastic because people were not understanding the Wind Panda before, and now I think people are not going to. People are less like new players get less likely to build him wrong. So that's going to be nice. Although they do still have the builds in the game. Dragons increase base speed. This is going to be really nice. I have to remember this because I'm going to have to retune if you guys have a specific tuning on your units. Anytime they change the base speed on these things and you actually use them, then you're going to have to. Otherwise, they're going to go like before your Galleon or whatever if you use them for Arena. And then we have, so that's 2 buffs for the Light Dragon, actually. Well, 2 buffs for all the dragons. But Jameer didn't get a buff. Jameer's the only one that got, aside from the base speed. Oh, no, actually, Jameer doesn't get the base speed change. Because it's just water, fire, light, and dark. So, then we have leader skill of some monsters. This is curious why they went for this. So, we have Fire Mage leader skill is now. It helps him more. Or her more, or whatever. Because 44% attack power. The balls are based on attack power. So, it does help the Fire Mage more. It's just, I don't know. It was just odd, in my opinion. Wind Mage, this is kind of interesting, though. Attack power, 44%. People were using him, or still are using him, in bruiser teams. So, I feel that people are going to be potentially using the Wind Mage now more with possibly even Wind Mage and Molly and Perna, Wind Mage, Molly, Rakan, maybe things like that. What do you guys think about that? Because they have the as the HP leader skill, just building him as a bruiser. He is already, she, whatever, is already built as a bruiser, but now this kind of fits the meta more. This Wind Mage, it's just something I wasn't expecting these mages to get changed. And then we have skill errors of some monsters fixed. Ultimately, I think that they are changing a lot of the. I'm gonna have to rethink about this because I was so butthurt from. People getting the wrong idea that I was commenting what needed to be buffed in the next balance patch after the balance patch came out. So it's like at the beginning of the video, I was like, this is so frustrating. People don't understand what happened. So I think they are addressing a lot of the things that need to actually get changed. I think some of them are good buffs. I think some of them are questionable among them. We're going to have to see this in action. Like Ciara. I don't know. I'm scared of Ciara. I am scared that it's going to be too ridiculous, but we will see. And then some things like the Gargoyles and Camila and the Chun-Lis and Blade Dancers. Because Chun-Lis and Blade Dancers are the same unit. I think that's just not enough for them, but at least they acknowledge that these units do need to get buffed because they're nowhere in the meta. Anyway, that's it for this one. Sorry that it took so long to actually get this video out between the sleeping, because I didn't think there was going to be a balance patch notification today because I had already been awake until dawn waiting for one, and then working on the video, and yeah, sorry for everything, as always. I will see you. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you as always in the next one.